Good morning, everyone. Today is the 28th of May and welcome to the Ipswich City Council Ordinary Council meeting held here at 1 Nicholas Street. The time is 9 a.m. and in attendance around the room we have all councillors except for the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Madsen, but I do understand the Deputy Mayor is online with Teams. Could I just double check, Deputy Mayor, that you can hear us and we can hear you?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. Has anyone heard from Councillor Madsen or know where he is? I've received no notice. No worries. Okay, thank you. I will then move on now to an acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners, the Jagera, Yagara and Yugarapal people of the Yagara language group as custodians of the land and waters we share. We pay our respects to their elders past and present as the keepers of the traditions, customs, cultures and stories of proud people. This morning, we're very fortunate to have Amit Londi from the Goodness Salvos, who's going to give us our opening prayer and open our meeting that way. Amit, please feel free to come up to the lectern. I think this is your first time and I really appreciate you coming in. So please feel free to introduce yourself, tell us a bit about the Goodness Salvos before you lead us into prayer.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, out of 4,400 Australians who came to the Salvation Army for emergency relief, 91% of people said they were skipping meals. 60% were eating expired food, and 1 in every 5 were eating from the bins just to survive. My name is Amit Londe. I serve as a mission leader with the Goodna Salvation Army. Now, I read the stats and so that we can have an idea of the life of many people living around us. One of the community members told us, we starve, it's that simple. We drink water because it fills us up. Another said that they go without food, find thrown out food, look in bins to feed their children. It is deeply confronting to see parents skipping meals, children going to school hungry, and people eating spoiled food simply to stay alive. Last year across Australia, through over 400 centres and over 2,000 services Salvation Army provided, assistance to one person every 17 seconds, 1.74 million sessions of care, over 1 million nights of safe accommodation, more than 1.4 million meals to people experiencing homelessness. Now, in Goodna alone, we provided about more than 9,000 free hot meals to the people who are in need in our community. Now, these are not distant stories, by the way. These are people living around us, made in God's own image, right here in our communities. The Salvation Army mission is simple: to share the love of Jesus by caring for people, creating faith pathways, building healthy communities, and working for justice. Now, we understand that we cannot do this alone. As we gather here today, we have the privilege and responsibility to uphold our community in prayer and to show our support in action. This week is also the Red Shield Appeal week going on at the Salvation Army. You may see people collecting at the malls, the supermarket. We invite you to partner with us through prayer, through advocacy, and through generosity, so that every person in Ipswich knows they are seen, valued, and loved. Let's pray. Loving God, we gather today as one body, united in our hearts for justice, mercy, and compassion. We lift up the city of Ipswich, its leaders, the mayor, councillors, the community, its families, its young people, and especially those who are struggling in silence. Give us eyes to see the need around us, ears to hear the cries of vulnerable, and hearts willing to respond. Strengthen every person sitting here. Fill us with your wisdom, your courage, your love for our neighbors. Bless the work of the council and every ministry in the city that seeks to bring hope, dignity, and restoration. May your kingdom come in Ipswich as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Amit, and thank you so much for the work that the Goodness Salvos do, not just nourishing people's stomachs and bodies, but their souls and families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. We now go to apologies and leave of absence. I see Councillor Madsen is here. Thank you. There are none. Item 5, condolences. There is none. Item 6, tributes. There is none. Item 7, presentation of petitions. There is none. Item 8, presentation deputations. There is none. 9, public participation. There is none. 10, matters of public interest. There is none. Item 11, there are declarations of interest in the agenda, and I understand, Councillor Tully, you'd like to declare a potential conflict of interest?
Yes, Mayor. I declare the identical interest that I did at the committee meeting, that in accordance with Section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, I inform the meeting that I have a declarable interest in item 3 titled Worrell Park Lawn Cemetery, the Master Plan and Land Management Plan. And the nature of the interest is that I'm a trustee of the Goodness Cemetery, appointed as a trustee by the Queensland Government. I invite other councillors to determine if I can continue to participate in the decision process.
Thank you. Councillor Tully, are you an office bearer in the organisation we're discussing today?
I'm a trustee, but I don't, not a specific...
Sorry, no, I meant that...
Oh, sorry. No, I'm not.
Okay. Would you receive, or any of around you receive a financial personal benefit for a decision made on this matter?
No, not at all. I believe I can make a decision in the public interest if I stay and are involved in the final vote.
Thank you. I'll open it for any other questions from councillors. In that case, I'm happy to move a motion to say that Councillor Paul Tully can remain to discuss and vote on item 3 within item 15.2, the Worrell Park Lawn Cemetery Master Plan and Land Management Plan, because there is no financial personal benefit and a reasonable person wouldn't see that. And I can see that Councillor Antonelli is seconding that. Any discussion? I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the room, knowing that Councillor Tully has not voted. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Are there any other declarations on the agenda? No? Thank you. We'll move on to item 12, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 30th of April 2024. Are there any errors, corrections, amendments being put forward? There are none, so I will move these minutes. Do I have a seconder for those? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. Any discussion? I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous in the room.
Affirmative.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Item 13 is mayoral minute. There is none. So we move on to item 14, which is business outstanding, including conduct matters and matters lying on the table to be dealt with. Item 14.1 is a council resolution for appropriate community consultation on the name of the Nicholas Street Precinct car park. That's in our papers. Are there any questions before I ask for any nomination? No questions. Would you like to move it, Councillor Madden?
Oh, well, actually,
yes,
Mayor,
I think that would be appropriate.
No,
Thank
actually,
you.
Mayor, I wanted to withdraw the notice of motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, without further debate.
Okay.
And I'd just like to say two things. I accept the report with regard to Shape Your Ipswich, but I am pleased to see the majority of Aboriginal groups that were consulted with accepted the nomination. But I'd like to congratulate or thank the council officers involved with this review. It was dealt with thoroughly, but the opinion in the Shape Your Ipswich was clear. So I don't require this matter to be dealt with any further, Mayor.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Madden's motion to withdraw? Councillor Doyle. I note that Councillor Madden has asked for it to be withdrawn with no further discussion. I actually can't force people not to have discussion, but I just hope that people can, see if they can respect that.
Yep.
So I do open it now for discussion, even... There is none, so I'll put that to the vote. And I'll just read it back out. Sorry, I just look at... Council Matter requests the withdrawal of this notice of motion. It was seconded by Councillor Doyle. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the room. Do I have... Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you very much. I now move on to item 15, which is the reception and consideration of reports, of committee reports. Now, I'll apologise upfront the fact that I was off sick at the committees last week. I was off with the flu. So I will ask a couple of questions, but I'm not asking for any items to be pulled out with our committee reports. So I just letting the committee chairs know that. So item 15.1 is the report of the Audit and Risk Management Committee from the 6th of May 2026. I'll ask to see if our two council representatives on that, do you wish to move and second that report?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, so the Deputy Mayor has moving it.
You can move it from...
And do you wish to second? Yeah, you can,
Yeah, I'm
yes.
happy to second, even though I wasn't in attendance, but I'm happy to second.
Okay, thank you so much. Any discussion on the Audit and Risk Management Committee report?
Just from me, Mayor, just to say that the new members again are getting a thorough representation of all the different functions of council, which is very pleasing.
Thank you. In that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chambers. How do you vote, Deputy?
Affirmative.
Thank you. We now move on to item 15.2, the report of Infrastructure Planning and Assets Committee. I do have a couple of questions, but I'm happy to do those as part of, if you wish to move it, Councillor Tully. Sorry? Oh, my apologies, my apologies. Sorry about that, Councillor Edgley. Item 15.2, as the committee chair, how would you like that report managed?
I'm happy to move the Infrastructure Planning and Assets Committee number 2026-04 of the 19th of May 2026 for reception and adoption.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to it?
I'll allow the acting chairperson from that meeting to speak to it if he so desires.
Wish to add in relation to that, but there may be some questions or further commentary by councillors.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tully. I'll just ask one question because I wasn't here for the committee report. On page 42, it talks about that stakeholders provided feedback that a military memorial monument should be considered. But when I've actually looked at the stakeholder and report and the community engagement report, I couldn't see that anywhere. So I don't know whether to ask the CEO or council officers where that was mentioned, because I couldn't see it in the community feedback report.
Could I ask which item was that one again? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, item 3, Worrell Park Lawn Cemetery Master Plan and Land Management. Page 42 of the committee report states, targeted engagement with key stakeholders provided feedback that a military memorial should be considered included. But when I read the, let me just bring it up. When I read the Worrell Park Lawn Cemetery Community Engagement Report, as well as the assessment, there was no mention of that. So I was just wondering where that feedback came from.
Thank you, Chair. Mayor, I think it's probably best we take that on notice and we'll come back to you.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, is this one been laid on the table for further, that Worrell for a further workshop? Yeah.
Yes,
So,
it was laid on the table for June.
yeah,
So I thought I'd ask the question because maybe you
Okay.
could come back for
through
June.
the workshop, yep.
Yep. And hopefully it'll have some costs in there as well if I could get, there was no costs in the paper. Thank you.
Just to add, there was some issue, and one of the reasons was it's a very lengthy report with detail. One was about the naming of proposed parts of the area in future times, so that'll be an issue that came back. But I will say that it was a pretty comprehensive early discussion of the proposal, which would take us over many years there, but would, and you might recall the LGAQ last year was circularising councils in southeast Queensland about the availability of spaces in cemeteries in southeast Queensland. In some cases, there is very limited space available for full burials as opposed to ashes burials, and that's not a key issue for this council. In fact, that report refers to that under the ultimate redevelopment of the Worrell Park Lawn Cemetery. There'll be many years available. It's a very sensitive issue, but one that councils need to ensure that that this is still provided for as long as we can, and what alternatives there may be in the future.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. And speaking to the report, just looking at item 2, which is the Asset Infrastructure Service Department for the month of March, and I can see that March was a really strong month for Council's Capital Works program, with plenty of projects wrapping up, probably because we had really great weather as well. That probably helped as well as good organisation. It was great to see the road resurfacing program completed across all 4 areas, along with the organic soft fall replacement program. And these upgrades mean that smoother, safer roads. We have refreshed play spaces that families can enjoy straight away. I see that construction has also begun ahead of schedule of the Ripley and Fisher Road upgrades, as well as drainage improvements on Lowry Lane and Colvin Street. Getting these works moving earlier helps reduce future disruptions and kept things flowing more smoothly, I think, for our local residents. Work began on replacing the St Augustine Drive sediment forebay, and construction progressed well on the new 3-metre shared path along Kedges Road, which will be a welcome boost for the many walkers and cyclists of that very busy road, as well as the school community there as well. Progress continues on the road approaches to the Purga School Road Bridge, and I think it would have probably been finished this week except for the rain, so we'll see that's very close, and I appreciate the residents' patience there. Major lighting upgrades at the Willowbank Motorsport Precinct has advanced significantly, and these improvements will support safer access and better experiences for the visitors and event goers. I'll open it for other discussion from councillors. There being none, Councillor Tully, so just to check, were you? Moved it, and did you second it? Did I get a seconder? Yes, thank you.
But I've provided my commentary, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Tully, do you wish to say anything right of reply?
Thank you.
No. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous in the chambers. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Negative.
Thank you. Oops. We now move on to item 15.3, the report of the Finance and Governance Committee of the 19th of May 2026. And Councillor Tully, as the chair of that committee, how would you like that report managed?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that Finance and Governance Committee report number 2026-04 of the 19th of May 2026 be received and adopted, subject to the following amendment, which I think the committee clerk will put on the screen in relation to one small amendment in relation to fees and charges.
Now, you're not looking to change the amount of fees or charges, you're just wanting to include
No.
an additional element, just to be clear.
I will come back to this, but it's a very brief amendment. It's simply in relation to access to council land, and it's usually on unmade road reserves where people wish to usually bring a vehicle or some maintenance equipment into their backyards. And it's just simply on the recommendation to add the word vehicle in addition to the other items specified there, the types of vehicles. The example I might give, well, I might just wait for a seconder on that.
Yeah, okay. So you're seconding with that amendment that's written up there.
Yes.
Councillor Doyle, thank you.
Okay. If I can start at that item, it's all the other fees and charges are unchanged in the recommendation from the committee. There's about a 4.5% increase across the board in relation to the fees and charges. We've had and council has considered this. Some fees and charges have already been adopted, which I've mentioned previously. They're animals, dogs in particular, so that we can get the renewal notices out at the start of the financial year. As I've said before, this is not the annual budget, which is on the 30th of June. This is the multiplicity of fees and charges across the board. In relation to this specific one, one example I might give for the adding of the word vehicle, it could be a golf cart, could be other items that people want to bring in. So by adding the word vehicle makes it clear there's no real limit, even though there's some examples there, trailers, boats, caravans, etc. This has always been a bit of a problem because there's not much damage. Most of these, and we did have one at Bellbird Park last year, most of these are unmade road reserves where there's grass and weeds. They've never been made. A lot of them are in the former Moretonshire, which existed up until 1995, and it's just to ensure that people can access the rear of their properties without either a bond or an access fee. In relation to the report general, there's one locally that I'll mention. It's been an issue for as long as I've been on the council in 1979. It's number 4 Marie Street at Goodna, bank stabilisation work. So I think this will finally resolve the issue. The work has basically been completed. There's about Marie Street is split in two, one from Queen Street and one access from Alice Street. There's about a 6 metre drop. It's never been a through road, and the water during rainy times has blown away. Other improvements over time are simply because of the velocity of the water and the volume of the water coming through there. This has, I think, finally solved the problem. There are residential properties on both sides. It's just been one of those issues. I think all councillors will get them over the years where improvements that have been made using the technology at the time have proved effective for a while, but this I think will now ensure that not that it becomes a through road, but the drainage problems which exist there have been largely eliminated. The other item, it's only one other that I'm pleasure in referring to, item 11, membership of the Finance and Governance Committee. There's a recommendation to add an additional member to that committee, Councillor Pye Augustine. This was recommended unanimously by the committee at our meeting last week, and I'm certainly supportive of that. It's an opportunity. Councillor Augustine sits in the sort of in the public gallery. Sorry.
Tully, I was going to say in the bleachers.
Oh, in the bleachers, yeah.
That's what they call it, I think.
Insultingly, but for people watching, that only the relevant councillors who are members of the committee sit around the table. But Councillor Augustine is very interested in this, and I'm certainly strongly supportive of this because the recommendations are, and that's what they are from the committee, as people know, come to a full council meeting, but it's an opportunity for an early input by all councillors on an equal footing. So congratulations. Well, congratulations in maybe a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to continue some items that Councillor Tully has raised, and it's a common issue, particularly with regard to parts of Ipswich that were once part of Moretonshire Council, that people have properties adjacent to unmade roads, have made them roads themselves, and they've used them to access the rear of their properties, Mayor. But in Division 4, we have the unusual situation that we have a very large railway easement that people access, and Councillor Martin and I have fielded a number of inquiries from people that are concerned about the cost of the fee to get the permit to simply access the property. I think my view is, as long as this accessing of the railway reserve or the road reserve, Mayor, as long as it's properly policed by council officers, and for example, this sort of weather, you wouldn't allow it to be accessed in this weather. But as long as it was properly policed by council officers, I welcome the changes with regard to the fees. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I'd like to ask a few questions, discuss item 6, which is the terms of reference for the Multicultural Advisory Committee, which I'll be voting in support of. But I think at the 30th of April council meeting, I had raised some questions and that didn't come forward the paper. I'd like to table an email I wrote to, because I was going to ask questions last week at the committee meeting. I sent an email to the councillors and the organisation just asking some questions about it, and I'd like to table that email where the CEO has provided, I think, quite extensive advice, showing that 1, 2, 3, 4, I think at least 5 other councils around that have a multicultural advisory committee and they have external members as well, so it shows that strong support. So I'd like to table that email from the 27th of May. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. Any discussion for tabling that email? All those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chamber. Councillor Augustine. Oh, sorry. Councillor,
affirmative.
yeah, sorry.
You're right.
you support?
Yes, I do.
So that'll be there, and it does show the support for item 6, which is adding externals to the regional council, to our Multicultural Advisory Committee. It shows it Toowoomba, the Sunny Coast, Yarra City in Victoria, and 2 councils in New South Wales, both Waverley and Sutherland Shire, and what they do there as well, which is fantastic. I have a couple of questions. I note that the structure of our Multicultural Advisory Committee appears a bit different from other councils. I note that there's a different mix of how many councillors, how many externals. I'll just opening up whether to the CEO or maybe even yourself, Augustine, as to why the mix of having 5 externals and so on.
Thank you, Mayor. I think along with myself and a council officer, we engage with Toowoomba. For me, Toowoomba Regional Council seem to be very much progressed in this side of things. So we had a good discussion with a group of council officers and also stakeholders, and just listening to them, getting feedback. I think this is, for us, we thought this is where we were positioned. We needed council plus the externals to go forward, and we think that's where we are at the moment. Toowoomba Regional Council, their Multicultural Advisory Group, has gone through a very much a transition, over 3 years, and now they feel like this is where they are, best position for them. Yeah. And I think for us, we are only in our infancy.
We're on a journey.
And you're right. We're on this journey, and I think this is where we are situated with council and with externals, and then it might blossom into just a full external with a couple of councillors, but I feel this is where we are situated best.
Right. Yeah. And my understanding, she was asked, will these externals be, because this is the first time we've had external members on an advisory committee, will they be paid? Or is it unpaid? Or was that coming to council later for a decision?
For my understanding is that they're unpaid.
Unpaid.
Just like all the, with the other advisory committees around the place. Yeah, so I don't think we've not talked about paid.
Okay.
So in my understanding, they're not. Yeah.
Thank you. CEO, can I just have an understanding on how, will something come to council for us to review, or will we have a workshop on how people are selected or what the process is? Will this come back to council, or is this is the final decision?
It's my understanding that at last month's council meeting, the council decided that an expression of interest would go forward to the Multicultural Advisory Committee for discussion. Okay. So it would proceed from there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you very much, Councillor Augustine. They were the only questions I had for that paper. In speaking to the paper more broadly, I note with the item 7, the proposed fees and... Sorry, I think... Were you going to... Sorry.
Oh, yes, Mayor.
We're going to take this opportunity,
while we're on the terms of reference of the multicultural, I just thought it might be an opportunity to just just talk about a multicultural festival that we're having. Not we having, but that will happen in Toowoomba Place, which will be delivered by an external community organisation. I really welcome that because I feel that a lot of our multicultural festivals happen down at Rebel, so the eastern side, and I think I'm very supportive of one happening here in Toowoomba Place in our heart of Ipswich. It'll be a externally run festival, and I'm fully supportive, and I've spoken to councillors around the table, and I'm pretty sure everyone's supportive of it as well. So really looking forward to a vibrant festival that will happen on the 1st of August right here in Toowoomba Place.
I think it's very exciting. It is a community-led event, not a council-led event. But I do know that there was a grant application for council discretionary funds that's from that external organisation.
Yeah, Mayor. They're going through the process of funding and all, just exactly how the other community groups go through when they apply. So, really looking forward to how this progresses.
1st of August.
Yes.
Thank you. Just in regards to item 7, the proposal. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, Councillor.
Sorry, Mayor.
Councillor.
You're still at question time. I was just some commentary and feedback.
Oh, my apologies. So we're still in questions, and I haven't done a mover and seconder. Is that what you're saying?
No.
We had it's a Finance and Governance Committee. Oh, sorry, Councillor Doyle. Sorry, and I do apologise. You were the seconder, Councillor Doyle, so I didn't ask you.
Oh, no. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to just respond in relation to the Multicultural Festival. I'm very supportive of Councillor Augustine. I obviously am her Deputy Chair and work closely with her with regard to economic development matters. And I've previously had discussions with Councillor Augustine about this external organisation looking to bring a festival back to the Ipswich CBD, which I'm really excited about, as has been noted. We don't have a lot here. We used to historically had Diwali, which was very well attended by residents, and it's been a bit of a gap and a loss for residents. So looking forward to, the festival moving ahead and being successful.
Yep. Thank you. In speaking to item 7, just look at the proposed fees and charges. I note that the outset that this annual review of council's fees and charges is a routine, and we always do it this time of the year, that reflects the real cost of delivering services to the community. And I think there's some positive developments worth highlighting. The discontinuation of card surcharges aligns with national recommendations, and I'm sure they'll be very much welcomed by residents. The introduction of a new community and sporting facility option, so as well as clearer structures for some higher fees, shows that council continues to refine and expand services in response to community needs. At the same time, I note the increase in commercial and non-Ipswich waste fees, which I think is a sensible measure that ensures that our ratepayers aren't subsidising waste from outside the city. I also note the increase in owner's consent fee that covers the staff time, legal checks and internal coordination to assess and issue permissions. And I think that overall this is a steady and responsible fees and charges proposal that's being put to us today. I'll open up for other discussion on the Finance and Governance Committee paper. If there's nothing else, Councillor Tully, would you like a right of reply?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thanks to Councillor Madden in relation to the access to council land and the example that you gave, which is an easement, which is under control of council. That's important. I think it's something we can keep an eye on, that the variation to the fees and charges for this coming year followed that matter at Bellbird Park, which was resolved. I think we had a delegation to the CEO to resolve that and similar matters, and this is sort of the culmination of that. To ensure fee-free access to basically to people's backyards. In relation to the fees and charges, Mayor, you mentioned one very important thing, the abolition of the use of credit card and debit card fees from, it can include debit card fees later in this year in the second half under federal law. That's going to be very interesting. It would apply to us so as well. You know, there's been a lot of conjecture about whether prices would go up or go down. It means that if you buy from a shop a coffee for $5 and at the moment you're paying $5.12, that 12 cents addition disappears. Whether they charge $5.12 or $5, I don't know. But for us, it would mean that fee disappears, and that's a matter we take into account in our budget arrangements. But it's universal across Australia for all banks in Australia, and I believe the only financial institution that won't be affected by it is Amex, which doesn't operate as a bank in Australia, but as a financial corporation, which is, I think there'll be, when this kicks in, those fees disappear. In relation to that, the matter in relation to the changes to the Multicultural Advisory Committee. In the past, we had a Heritage Consultative Committee where there were no payments to any of the members, and the fact that we're silent on that, I would assume that the people would be giving of their time that wouldn't be paid positions. The proposal is for that committee to have up to 5 external advisors, and that can be changed if there's a consideration that there should be more. They're not actually members of the committee because they are advisory. It's an advisory committee, and they're members of the community who are advising into that committee, and I'm sure the committee will take into account their views. So I think we've got it as best as we can at the moment, having an appropriate mechanism for that particular committee, to ensuring that we've got that links back into the community without overwhelming it with, with dozens of people who might have an interest in it. And I think that selection of the individual external advisors is very important. And I'm sure the committee's in the capable hands of Councillor Augustine. And but it's one area where these are the sorts of things that probably should be reviewed after a year or so, if we need feedback or a consideration of how well it's working and if any changes need to be made in the future. The issue of the Councillor Dore commenced the issue of the multicultural festival. That is really good here, right in the mall, and I trust that will be a great success because the city. I often say the city's divided in three, not physically, but the eastern suburbs and the old, the rural area. We've talked about that for many years since the amalgamation of the Moreton Shire and Ipswich City in 1995, and it is true. The older Ipswich, like the area from well, it's not diverging, it's just saying how the city operates. Up until 1949, the entire area from Bundamba Creek to Gales was part of the Moreton Shire, up until 1949. And then at the time, the government, and there was a lot of opposition to it, there was a lot of support for it as well, to include the whole area from Bundamba Creek to Gales in the city of Ipswich. And I remember, maybe about 25 years later, on a polling booth, there was a guy still complaining about the Hanlon Labor government putting Goodna into the city of Ipswich in 1949. He was handing out voting cards for the other side at that time. So some of these issues still linger. Yeah, that's not the amalgamation in 1995. That was the one of 1949, and that was a really, really big deal at the time. Some of these issues, like these access to rear boundaries and whatever, the Moreton Shire allowed a lot of development in that Chimera. Chimera, this is after that time in that Chimera, Bellbird Park, Redbank Plains area. Some of those, so it allowed for the future development of those areas. Well, a lot of those roads were never put through, but they're still there and they exist, but they're unmade and they're usually got, in a lot of cases, trees growing through the middle of them. So on that historical note, can I seek the support of councillors to approve these recommendations with that amendment?
Thank you. I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chambers. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We move on to item 15.4, the report of the Community and Sport Committee of the 19th of May. I'll hand over to the chair of that committee, Councillor Manson. How would you like this report managed?
Just as per the meeting agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. I'll open up for discussion. There being no discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous in the chamber. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We now move on to item 15.5, the report of the Economic and Cultural Development Committee of the 19th of May 2026. Councillor Augustine, as the committee chair, how would you like this?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'd like to move the Economic and Cultural Development Committee 2026-06 of the 19th of May be moved in full and adopted as the recommendations in the report.
Thank you. And I can see Councillor Doyle, as the Deputy Chair, is seconding that. I'll hand over to you, Councillor Augustine, to speak to the matter.
Oh, thanks, Mayor. I'd like to just speak to a couple of items. Wow, that rain is really coming in. Sorry, just distracted for a second. Item 2, the Gulf, the 2026 Gulf Western Oiled Winter Gnats. Supporting the winter gnats with 25,000, along with the 10,979 for a detailed impact report. I think it's an investment in Ipswich's most iconic and high-valued events that happen through the year. The Winter Gnats, not only the largest drag racing event in the Southern Hemisphere, it's also a major economic driver that brings visitors. And hopefully with those visitors we get some spend, which obviously drives our economic bottom line and national attention on our region. Also, item 3, which is Let's Go Ipswich Caravan and RV Expo. Willowbank Raceway will host the Let's Go Ipswich Caravan and RV Expo, which will be an exciting new event that has potential to become a major annual draw card in our region. The grey nomads are really expanding, so the raceway's expansion layout gives this expo the room it needs to grow year after year, while also supporting vehicle displays, outdoor activations, and the kind of hands-on experiences that visitors expect from a modern lifestyle event. And finally, Mayor, item 5, which is the Nicholas Street Precinct, the April 2026 redevelopment progress report. This report, I must say, is also internally supported with councillors with the workshop to the Nicholas Street Precinct Investment Management. There's a lot of commercial in confidence in that workshop, but not that that's what I want to point out, but I just think that it overarches what's happening within the Nicholas Street Precinct, and I think it gets councillors to be across the baseline and the risk reports of what we've got in the precinct, which I found very, very positive. Stats don't lie, and I just think that the information that we received was very positive. And I do want to thank the councillors for taking part in the workshop, and also the precinct manager, Mr. Hepburn, and also Richard from CBRE. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I think Councillor Augustine's given a comprehensive overview and concur with her comments. So thank you.
Thank you. Speaking to this report, delighted to see that the 2026 Gulf Western Oil Winter Nationals continues to be a major draw card for Ipswich, attracting more than 38,000 attendees and contributing strongly to our Festival of Horsepower, which kicks off next month. The recommendation of the report is for both funding and also an event impact report, which I understand is supported by the applicant. The inaugural Let's Go Ipswich Caravan and RV Expo, which is receiving $4,500 in funding, and event impact study was also discussed at the committee, I see. With an expected about 12,000 attendees and strong industry engagement, I would expect that this event will also help strengthen our tourism profile and support local businesses when they come here. The quarterly sponsorship report also highlighted the continued investment in events such as the Ipswich Cup, which is on the 20th of June, the Super 440, and also the OCR World Championships was the Spartan event, which Councillor Augustine and I attended the big launch. I think about people from 17 different countries there. It was a bit like a mini Olympics, and I think you went out on the weekend as well and saw some other events. And finally, I want to note on the excellent progress on the Nicholas Street Precinct. The visitation has nearly doubled year on year, supported by strong activations like Bluey and Bingo shows, the ongoing improvements such as the Clock Tower upgrade, and the upcoming Winter Nights program in June, which will continue to build momentum for our city centre. I'll open it for other discussion. Councillor Tully, you've got your light on?
Oh, sorry.
No? Councillor Martin.
Oh, I'd just like to say, Mayor, concur with Councillor Augustine and yourself. Very comprehensive speaking on the report. I'd just like to say, with all the festivals, events, that Ipswich becomes known as a destination. I'm really excited to Hilton across the road, and would like to see more opportunity for accommodation in our city, so we can actually capitalise more on the 38,000 people, for example, going to Winter Nats. Unfortunately, most people that come here to events, they come here, they go to the event, and they leave and go back to Brisbane, Gold Coast, wherever. I'd love to see Ipswich as a destination. I'd even like to see us be a destination for things like Magic Round in Brisbane, so we have accommodation such that people can stay here in the CBD, dine on our restaurants, go down to Brisbane, come back on the train. It's less than an hour to get to Brisbane. I'd like to see us as a destination. So I'm really looking forward to the Hilton, and hope that that inspires other developers and inspires future accommodation. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, Councillor Tully.
Just briefly, in that vein, some years ago we used to, there was the Urban Local Government Conference, which was of the major cities and towns in Queensland, and we could host that, but there's only about 3 or 4 councils in Queensland that can host the Local Government Association conference. Obviously Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Townsville, Gladstone, Cairns. That would be a real opportunity, for that to get delegates from. They get up to 1,000 people with, officers and sponsors and so on. I remember the Urban Local Government Conference, which used to be the Cities and Towns Local Government Association, there were people staying at Darra, some accommodation there. But yeah, I think that's, we should look at all the opportunities, to be able to facilitate that for conferences that a lot of organisations around Australia have. I think it's a really great opportunity to utilise that, because we'd have a major facility where they could meet on site and also stay on site, which is sometimes handy. I know at some conferences where people don't want to walk too far for various reasons, some legal and otherwise, to their conference and some sleeping destination. So yeah, I think that's something we should really push and really explore.
Yeah, I think you're right, Councillor Tyler. There's a real opportunity for conferences to come here across defence, supply chain management, health, and so on. I think that's why last term of council we did approve the short-term accommodation strategy and plan, and that's how we attracted Hilton. We know that we need at least 310 rooms in Ipswich leading up to the game, so the Hilton will address 160 rooms, and I think if that's successful, they're keen to continue to invest here. So it's really great to see that we're getting that there, and I think success breeds success. It's fantastic. Any other discussion? Councillor Wilson, did you want to say anything in reply, or go straight to the vote?
No, straight to the vote. Thanks,
Thank
Mayor.
you. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the room. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Thank you. We now move on to the final committee report, the report of the Environment and Sustainability Committee of the 19th of May 2026. Councillor Matt, as the committee chair, how would you like that report managed?
To move that the Environment and Sustainability Committee report number 2026-04, 9th of May 2026 be received.
Thank you. And the seconder? Oh, so I'll do that again. If that's okay, I'll get to do it again.
Mayor, I'd like to move that the Environment and Sustainability Committee report number 2026-04, dated 19th of May 2026 be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Martin. I'll hand over to you, Councillor Martin, to speak to the report.
Mayor, it was a very interesting report that was delivered. The first item in was a councillor's report with regard to the status of the Tea Tree Bioenergy Fund. Just in division, this is a magnificent program. For people that aren't aware of how this program works, it's funded by monies received from the Tea Tree facility at Willowbank, and under the terms of the court order that created the fund, the monies must be distributed for the benefit of the community. And just to give three examples, in Division 4, we've had improvements to Stallard Park, Caledonian Park, and Henry Lawson Bicentennial Park. Wonderful program, and it's created a lot of interest from the community, Mayor, and Councillor Martin and I have been trying to get the message out. We'd like community groups to apply for funding for this grant. The next one was a summary of the activities and plannings for the upcoming fire season. I was at the Amberley RAF-based consultative committee last night, which is politicians whose boundaries border Amberley RAF-based, but also residents and community groups that are involved in the Willowbank Amberley area. And it was interesting that there was a report presented about their fire burning to reduce fire load with the forthcoming fire season. And Downer, the same company that manufactures trains, is their contractor for fire control at Amberley RAF Base and surrounding areas. I must say the reports back from the members of the community were that they're obviously concerned when they have fire burning right up against their boundaries, particularly where they have animals, but they're generally pleased with how it was being done. But if anyone ever sees an overall aerial view of Ipswich, you'll see how much of Ipswich is Amberley RAF Base, the actual area. And a lot of that area isn't airstrips and hangars, it's grass, buffer zones. So very, very interested to hear the report from Downer. The next item that was reported was the Get Ready funding, Get Ready grant funding for 2025 to 2026. The Get Ready grants come from the Queensland Reconstruction Authority, but are administered by council, and they allow council to undertake things like educational programs, getting ready for disaster. It's hard to imagine when you hear the rain coming down today that we may have disasters, but Ipswich is well known for flooding, and this program aims to get people ready for those sort of events. The other report that was delivered concerned the Urban Rivers and Catchments program, which is a program where we undertake things like bank stabilisation and plantings of riverine areas. But this is a wonderful program. It's funded by the It's funded jointly by the federal government and the Ipswich City Council. And Mayor, the final item that we discussed at the committee meeting, was our membership of the South East Queensland Climate Resilient Alliance, and it was recommended, and we haven't voted on it yet, Mayor, but it's recommended in the report that we continue our membership of the South East Queensland Resilient Alliance. Mayor, that's my submission.
I'd just like to concur with Councillor Madden, and we had opportunity to meet the team from Ocean Crusaders. They're cleaning up the river. So with tea tree funding, Mayor, Council's partnered with them, and they do a number of cleanups in the river. It's quite, somewhat distressing, I guess, some of the debris that comes out. We were down there. No, I don't believe it would be a pleasant job. Yeah, so a lot of tyres, a lot of waste, and sadly a number of shopping trolleys. I think last time they Crib Park, they got over 30 shopping trolleys from the from the Bremer River, and that happens, with sadly repeated regularity. But it is good to see again tea tree funding going, cleaning up our river.
I'll open to other councillors to discuss the report. Yes, Councillor.
Just in relation to that matter, it's the second item that I'm agreeing with you, Councillor Martin, today. But those shopping trolleys, we introduced the policy of having a locking wheel some years ago, maybe 15 years ago now. I'm seeing more and more trolleys, and there was a tripwire at the edge of the relevant shopping centres to prevent them from being removed from the centre. But I'm seeing more and more where they're hundreds of metres. And I just asked the CEO to examine, do we ever do an inspection of any of these trolleys to see that the wheel mechanism is still working? Because that is a legal requirement of this council for the operators. It's not voluntary. And I just wonder whether or not over time some of these wheels are not working. I have seen people, because we only require it on one wheel, usually the front wheel of the trolley. Some people are very adept at putting the trolley up on 3 wheels. I know some councils in Sydney require them on 2 wheels, which makes it pretty well impossible to go from one end of Goodna to the other, or one end of any part of Ipswich. So I just wonder if there is an inspection program at all, CEO. I don't expect you to know today, but I'm just tending to see some of these trolleys could have been there for 10 or 15 years, and the shopping centres don't care because they're very cheap now. Years ago they used to cost about $600 per trolley to replace. Now they're some, I believe they're less than $100. So I'll just leave it at that. Just if that just can be looked at. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Thank you. Happy to take that on notice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Just further to Councillor Madden's commentary around Ocean Crusaders and the shopping trolley issue, I'm really grateful for the work that Ocean Crusaders have partnered with Council in delivering. Across Division 3, there's 2 big issues that have been ongoing for many years, and that is tyres and debris within the Bundamba Creek post-floods, particularly in the lower parts of Bundamba, where there's a lot of acreage properties. A lot of the stuff that's stored on those properties ends up in the creek. Separately to that, the shopping trolleys have been an ongoing problem. I personally, last term, wrote to supermarkets about this because there doesn't seem to be any ongoing activity or program by them to proactively collect their trolleys and remove them. We know here at Council we don't have the skill set, and anyone who's watched Ocean Crusaders will see that it's a very difficult task retrieving these trolleys that are embedded in the mud in the riverbanks, and it's quite an unsafe and complex issue to do. And I think there needs to be absolutely more advocacy for the supermarkets who, it's published very regularly, they make very large profits. they should be stepping up. They have a social and environmental responsibility, just like everyone else. So I'm very, very supportive of, and you know, I agree with Councillor Tully's comments around, you know, inspecting the locking mechanisms. But again, that will be an impost or, you know, a burden on council, therefore ratepayers, to fund an ongoing program. So I think as a council we do need to sit down and explore our options further, and potentially a very public campaign to see the supermarkets doing more. As Councillor Tully pointed out, what does their maintenance program look like? Is it 5, 10, 15 years? So thank you.
Sorry? Yep, I wish to speak to, but if you'd like to respond to that. Yeah.
Mayor, I was just going to suggest to the CEO that maybe we should seek advice from Ocean Crusaders about which brand of grocery supplier is. I see red a lot. I know that when we see them in their boats. I don't see a lot of blue. I see a lot of red. So I think it might be worthwhile, CEO, that we seek advice from Ocean Crusaders about what is the source of these trolleys, which of the grocery providers is the major source of these trolleys that appear in the Brisbane and Bramah rivers.
Thank you. And speaking to this report, I'd like to speak on item 4, which is the summary of activities for the Get Ready grant funding for 25-26. I want to thank the Queensland Government for this funding to promote such an important message for the City of Ipswich. Unfortunately, we are no strangers to natural disasters, whether it's floods or bushfires, so it's important that our residents understand the disaster risk in the area that they live and work, and that they are prepared for when the worst does hit. What I particularly liked about this summary of activities is the focus on families. There was quite a long list of events, so, you know, as in multiple different ways of speaking with families, from the First 5 Forever program, Story and Toddler Time, NAIDOC Week, and most recently with the Ipswich show. Often families, especially people who have young kids, are really busy and really probably hard to engage. So it was great to see the organisation make that effort to weave in the Get Ready message into a wide range of family-friendly events. In all, we received just over $70,000 from the Queensland Government across the financial year to help get our community to get ready. And on that note, on the weekend, I attended the South East Region's SES Awards. So that's all the regions from Gold Coast to Logan to Ipswich, Somerset and Scenic Rim. And can I say that the highest award that can be given out by the Chief Officer's commendation pin, and that pin is awarded to the Chief Officer for the demonstration for demonstration of exceptional resourcefulness and dedication to duty beyond far exceeding what might be easily expected from a member, was actually given to the local controller of Ipswich, Kirsty Lee Colby. So I'd like to congratulate her on that, and that was the most senior award given out across the region. I also note that the Ipswich City Unit was also awarded a highly commended Group Unit of the Year for their exceptional operational capability, teamwork and leadership, strengthening community resilience across multiple regions. And the event was also marking 50 years of the SES, so it was really lovely to see the video and the pictorial of SES over the last 50 years. And the event was held at Mount Tambourine, and the Mayor of Scenic Rim and the Mayor of Logan were also there at that event as well. So I'd like to thank all those in the SES for doing that. It was lovely to see that recognition for our local groups and the people there as well. Item 5 is the progress report on the delivery of the Urban Rivers and Catchment Program. And this is another important program that Council's able to run thanks to funding from the Australian Government. In this case, we received a $3 million grant from the Australian Government, and the program commenced late 2024, and it's quite exciting to see that we're at the halfway point now, with 5 sites now complete and more than $2 million invested in Ipswich Creek's. Ipswich City Council's putting $1 million towards that $3 million there. These 5 sites were identified as priority sites following the damage inflicted from the 2022 floods on our riverbanks, vegetation and water quality. And that means in future flood events, our stream banks are less susceptible to erosion, minimising the sediment in our waterways. So it's really great to see that report. I'll open up for further discussion. Councillor Madden, would you like a right of reply?
Oh,
before we go to the vote?
Mayor, I just thought listeners and the councillors might be interested in what those 5 sites were. Woogaroo Creek, Bremer River, Pisces Street at Coal Falls and Hanlon Street at Bundamba. 2 sites on Ironpot Creek, Walter Zimmerman Park at Pine Mountain, which is basically bank stabilisation that involves replanting the sites. 1 site at Bundamba Creek at Jack Barclay Park, and I participated in a tree planting down there not that long ago. And the final site was, it's not the Bremer River, it's the Brisbane River. It's at Catherine Court Reserve at Carolee. So this funding, this $3 million that we received from the federal government, plus $1 million from the Ipswich Council, which creates a $4 million fund, is being well spent, Mayor.
Thank you. Put matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chambers. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote? Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Apologies, I lost sound. Affirmative.
Apologies. Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. So it's unanimous. We now move on to officers' reports, and the first one is 16.1, the CEO Organisational Performance Report for April 2026, and I'll move that. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. Any questions? You have a question, Councillor Tully? Yes.
Just a brief one.
Yeah.
On page 1 of the report, page 31 of 258, there's a reference to us having reclaimed the title of the fastest growing city in Queensland. The question I'm going to ask is, who's next? Probably Logan City, and that may have been published before, but I usually have a clash, a friendly clash with Mayor Raven from Logan City every couple of months, and I would like to know the actual percentage for that, and perhaps the other key councils in Queensland, if you haven't got it there, if that could just be emailed to us, but I do like to be able to quote the figures so
Yes.
that he... at the various meetings and catch-ups.
I did send out a media release with the figures from the Queensland Government Statisticians Office, so you can see Logan is here. So for 24-25, we were the fastest growing city. Also, over the next 20 years, we're also forecast to be the fastest growing city as well. So that has stood for a number of years. But I think now into the next few years, Ipswich will continue to be the fastest growing city based on forecast. But yeah, there was that one year where Logan was faster than us, I think, for the 23-24 year.
Because down the eastern suburbs, we joined Logan, and I never heard the end of it. So that's a very pleasing segment of your report.
I do have that friendly rivalry with Mayor Raven as well.
It's probably a bit more than that in my case, but he is Comrade Raven, so look, I go a bit easy on him.
Can I say that ourselves, Logan, and the City of Moreton Bay all have, I guess, similar opportunities and challenges. We are the fastest growing councils. We're that urban, we all border the capital city, and we're all bursting at the seams and needing that infrastructure fund and support as we grow. So I think we all try to work very collaboratively together with some friendly rivalry. Thank you. So that was a question, and I think we'll get through that report. We've got that. Mm-hmm. In speaking to this report, I do note that I'd like to highlight some of the outcomes from this report, CEO, that reflect a city that is growing with purpose and a council that is planning for the long term. Welcome that Ipswich is being recognised as Queensland's fastest growing city, welcoming over 9,000 new residents in a single year, which is a clear sign that people see Ipswich as a place of opportunity and affordability. Ripley is the state's fastest growing suburb, and Springfield Lakes is the most populous now. It used to be, I think, Redbank Plains, but yeah, now Springfield Lakes is now the most populous suburb in the state. This sustained growth underscores the importance of the continued partnership with the state and federal governments for continued investment in transport, as well as social and sporting infrastructure for our communities. The local housing action plan has now been in place for a full year, and the progress report shows that Ipswich is taking meaningful practical steps to address the city's housing challenges. In the first 12 months, 15 of those 40 priority action items have already been completed, demonstrating that strong early momentum. This includes the adoption of a new planning scheme, which provides a more contemporary and flexible framework to support housing growth across the city. Housing delivery has also been significant, with more than 3,150 new dwellings were completed citywide, helping to increase supply at a time of high demand. Importantly, around 185 social housing dwellings have also been built or are nearing completion, providing much needed support for residents experiencing housing stress. And that funding normally comes from the state and the federal governments, as they have that responsibility for social housing. South Ripley has a new sports facility, the Gilberto Harry Thompson Senior Park. The delivery of this new sporting asset responds directly to the rapid population growth in South Ripley, reflecting Council's commitment to providing high-quality recreational infrastructure that supports participation and promotes healthier lifestyles. And Council expressions of interest are now invited. I think Councillor Augustine and Councillor Manson have been doing some work in their community, inviting expressions of interest from cricket and AFL clubs to manage those facilities with the aim to get residents in the field in the 26-27 season. I'll open it for other discussion. There is none. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous in the chamber. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We now move on to item 16.2, which is the Q3 annual plan for 25-26 quarterly performance report. Any questions on this report? In that case, I will move it. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Antonelli. In speaking to this, we continue to see significant growth in arts, culture and events, with 401 cultural activities and 776 artists engaged. Arts activities increased by 23%, reflecting the strong demand and community participation. And event attendance remains a major economic driver, with a year-to-date economic impact reaching $13.9 million, demonstrating the value of sustained investment in cultural programming. There is clear evidence of improved service responsiveness across many operational areas. Customer service volumes remain high, and teams such as Open Space Maintenance consistently exceeded their on-time targets, achieving 91 to 93% of performance. Several service areas processed substantial increases in both requests created and requests closed, indicating better workflow and backlog management. I'd like to highlight the City Maintenance's road and drainage. While they are still performing below the 85% on-time target, the data from this quarter has shown a clear upward trend, and when compared to the previous 2 quarters. This does demonstrate meaningful progress, but also highlights that the service remains well short of the required standard and will need continued focus to sustain and accelerate this improvement. Similarly, Risk and Insurance received 1,971 emails, which is an increase of 630 from the same period last year, and was unable to process all claims within the preferred timeframes after being able to achieve 100% last quarter. This will be impacting residents and businesses, and it's important that this function is strengthened to ensure timely and reliable service delivery. Despite these challenges, capital delivery and core services remain stable, and the Capital Works program is on track. Financial sustainability ratios remain within target, and procurement continues to deliver strong contract compliance and cost efficiencies. So I'd say overall, I think this report reflects that our council is performing well in key strategic areas, while also facing operational pressures that must be actively managed, especially as our population grows. Councillor Antonelli, as the seconder, do you wish to speak to the report? No? Open up for other discussion? In that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. And it's unanimous in the chamber. Deputy Mayor?
Affirmative.
Thank you very much. Item 16.3, which is the Ipswich City Council Corporate Plan for 2026-2031. Are there any questions on the report? In that case, I will move this. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Tully. In speaking to this, the new corporate plan 2026 to 2031 is above all else a reflection of what our community told us what matters most, and council engaged with residents, workers, businesses and community groups to shape the priorities that now guide this plan. The message was really clear from our community that Ipswich wants strong transport and community infrastructure. They want safer neighbourhoods, better health and crime prevention initiatives, and a council that advocates fiercely for these services and investment in our growing city. We will continue to deliver high quality services across the board, while also making sure that we're making responsible choices to ensure that long-term financial sustainability of our council. That means focusing on our investment on the priorities that the community identified as the most important, and directing resources to the initiatives that matter most to residents, so we can maintain strong service delivery and remain financially resilient as our city grows. We continue to lead the way in strengthening openness, transparency and accountability. This corporate plan represents another significant step forward in that commitment. For the first time, we have embedded clear, measurable indicators showing our current state and our desired state by 2031, and in some cases how Ipswich compares to the broader SEQ region. These measures give our community a direct line of sight into our performance and progress, reinforcing trust and ensuring we remain accountable to the priorities that our community set. By expanding our transparency measures and making our performance easier to track, we are once again demonstrating why Ipswich is recognised nationally for leading best practice in open government. This plan strengthens our position as a trusted and responsible organisation and sets a strong, sustainable foundation for the years ahead. Thank you. Councillor Tully, do you wish to speak to the corporate plan?
No, thank
I'll
you.
open it for other discussion. In that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chamber. And Deputy Mayor? Thank you. I've had a few councillors text me. It's now after 10 o'clock, so I apologise. I got carried away. And I think there'll be quite a bit of discussion on the next matter. So if we could break for morning tea and come back at 10:40. So I will move that we adjourn and come back at 10:40. Do I have I think Councillor Doyle seconding that. I'll put that matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chamber. Deputy Mayor?
Affirmative, please.
Thank you. See you back here at 10:40. Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome back to the Ordinary Council meeting of the 28th of May 2026. We just had a 30-minute recess for morning tea, and we're now on to item 16.4, which is the damage of the Ebbw Memorial, and I'll move that. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Madden. Oh, my apologies. Thank you. I've just been reminded by the Secretary. This is a late item, so before we can actually go on to 16.4, I need to move that we will accept this late item, this supplementary item that's on the agenda. So I can see Councillor Tully's seconding that for me. Thank you very much for that. I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the room. And Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
It is.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Secretary. Appreciate that. So we're back to 16.4. I'll move that. Councillor Madden, you're still happy to second that? I do note that I think about half an hour ago, Councillor Anthony, you wanted to move an amendment. Is that right? Did you still wish to do that, or how do you?
Yeah,
I know that this particular one and your notice of motion do cover
closely linked.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure.
So I couldn't see the point in having. There's probably still is a bit of a point to having the notice of motion, but I just felt that perhaps we could blend one into the other in many respects. So I have circulated just prior to the break an amendment to virtually incorporate the motion from 17.1, but not in whole. And there is some minor word changes to it. I have circulated it. It should be now with
do you mind
the committee clerk?
Just so
would you like me to read it out?
I apologise. If that would be good, if you could just read out, and probably you're moving an amendment and read out, I guess, what you sent us in the
I
email.
apologise for its length, but it is.
That's fine. It's all good.
I'll read it out. That item 16.4 be amended by the removal of recommendation A and the insertion of the following recommendations. A, that council offer a reward of up to $2,000 for information that leads to the conviction of or finding of guilt in relation to a person or persons responsible for the desecration and damage of the Ebbw Memorial Honour Stone on or about the 8th of May 2026. B, that the following conditions apply to the reward. A, that the reward be for information be backdated to information received from the 15th of May 2026. B, the reward is payable only where the information provided directly results in the conviction of or finding of guilt against a person or persons for the relevant offence. Little c, any information must be provided to the Queensland Police Service or Crime Stoppers. Little d, the determination of eligibility for an apportionment of the reward, if applicable, is subject to any advice from the investigating Queensland Police Service officers, and the reward is payable at the sole discretion of council, having regard to the above conditions. C, that council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the authority to administer the reward, including liaising with Queensland Police Service and or Crime Stoppers, and approve and make payment of the reward in accordance with the conditions established by this resolution and the policy. Further, and that the original, pardon the typo there, recommendation B be altered to recommendation large D and read as follows: that council determine the appropriate options for repair of the Ebbw digger at a future council meeting. I'd just move that and look for a seconder if I may.
Yeah, I'll second that, but if they want to accept it, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I do.
Sorry, I didn't have my microphone on. Councillor Madden and myself are the mover and the seconder,
Yes.
So we'll consider it, but happy to have
Just-
questions and queries.
Just to clarify that either it's accepted or it's voted on. It's the fact that there is a pending notice of motion, which is similar. But I think this would cover essentially the notice of motion. I don't want sort of a suggestion we're going to redebate the issue. And I know there was an indication that the notice of motion was going to be withdrawn. Well, then that makes it clear that we're just concentrating on the entire issue via this motion.
Understand, sort of merging, but I do understand the notice of motion also has item 4, which is undertake a review of our current policy. So,
Yes, yeah, that is.
So I wasn't sure. Did you wish to?
Well, I still believe we need to review that policy.
Well, could that then be added into this motion, this amendment?
Or we could have that as when we come to the next matter.
Oh, yeah.
Two separate matters.
Yeah, okay.
I'm happy either way if the matter is.
Okay, so what I take from that, if we did agree to the amendment, you would remove motions, I guess, 1, 2 and 3 from your notice of motion. Is that correct?
Yes, if we were to go to the notice of motion. Otherwise, if you're happy to incorporate the notice of motion wholly in this report, then
That last recommendation from the notice of motion as an
Yes,
additional
yes.
amendment, yeah.
May I just ask a question?
Yeah,
Councillor Anthony?
yeah.
It talks about in there, any information must be provided to Queensland Police Service or Crime Service. Are you suggesting that people with information should contact council? Because that sort of contravenes what the advice I've had from police, that they
No,
believe that they prefer people to go to Crime Stoppers.
that's exactly.
So
That's
let's
exactly
stop with
my
that.
position.
Okay.
It's been my position for many years with respect to the previous policy and the current policy that we as an organisation are not capable in many respects of receiving that information. It is best that the information be forwarded to the police or Crime Stoppers.
And I think they also have all the confidentiality arrangements in place as well.
Exactly.
as you know.
Again, another important factor.
I'm happy with the amendment, Councillor.
I just want to mention one thing.
Yeah.
It's to do with the role of Crime Stoppers. I noticed that the CEO sought advice from the acting superintendent for this area, and he made certain comments. I'm not going to read them all out. It was in
We
a
can
letter.
do it in the motion when we discuss
Well,
it. This
this-
is just about the amendment. at
Yeah,
the
this
moment.
was just the amendment that concerns me. This is the one that concerns me, and he said that QPS. This is the advice from the superintendent that QPS advice is that the management of any reward through Crime Stop, and I'll read it the way so you understand it. They're saying that the management of the reward should be administered by Crime Stopper. Now, the only thing that concerns me about the wording of this, it suggests that the management of the reward is going to be administered by council. And I think if the superintendent is saying that the management of the reward, and I'm presuming that we'll say, yes, we'll pay $2,000, but we only pay it if somebody's convicted, and then we pay the money to Crime Stoppers, and then Crime Stoppers pays it out. I'd prefer it that any of the wording we do with this makes it absolutely crystal clear that don't ring council, ring Crime Stoppers, you know.
Mayor, could I just add, we're in the general discussion about the amendment at the moment, are we? That hasn't been.
Well, I guess
that hasn't been agreed to yet.
Councillor Matt and I are discussing whether we'll accept it. So I'm happy for discussion.
Yeah, I think Councillor Andronelli and I had discussions 12 or 15 years ago about utilising Crime Stoppers directly, and they actually came to visit us at one stage. I think they've got a different protocol, and that is that
Absolutely.
it doesn't require a conviction, which is pretty strange, or a finding of guilt. So we want to make it clear that the very ultimate decision, in conjunction with Crime Stoppers, is still within our hands, because there are Crime Stoppers policies which are different from this. I think it's quite appropriate, if that's accepted, that this sets out. The other thing is it says Queensland Police Service or Crime Stoppers. Queensland QPS could already be in a receipt of tip-offs or in relation to this matter, which they could pass to Crime Stoppers, which would validate this. But I think it's, if we're going to do a review, well, that can pick up all these other, but just to get this one on the road.
I think too, the amendment put forward by Councillor Tinelli, if you look at the last, was it CB, which says the council delegates the CEO, and it says approve and make payments of the reward in accordance with the conditions established by this resolution and the relevant policy. So that sort of captures what's in our policy.
And look, it doesn't limit the opportunity of the CEO to make payment through Crime Stoppers.
Yeah.
That's fine then.
It doesn't limit that.
Yep, that's fine.
Well,
Okay,
that's
in
the
that
way I
case-
saw the
So the
how I
mover-
wrote it to be. Yeah.
The mover and seconder are happy to accept the
fine.
amendment, so we'll have the amendment that is put forward is now the amendment that is now the motion that is live for us to discuss today. No, thank you very much for emailing that out. So I guess I've moved it. Councillor Madden has seconded it.
Yes.
I guess it's speaking to this. I just thank you for the paper. I guess I've got to say, as a As a veteran, I find the vandalism of the Ebervale Memorial appalling and quite sacrilegious, and I think our community felt the same way. This site holds great meaning for many in our community, and certainly in the 6 years I've been there, this is I think the first memorial that I have seen vandalised and damaged in this way. I haven't seen that happen. It has caused distress. It did get national media, especially in the veteran community and the ex-serving community, without a doubt. I note the advice from the Queensland Police Service that their investigation has now been exhausted and that a broader public appeal is appropriate. I think it's important that we follow QPS recommendations, including managing any reward through Crime Stoppers, and I guess we'll have that broader discussion. I think Crime Stoppers offer rewards. I can't remember if it's $1,000 or $2,000 they offer up to. So I guess that's in the ballpark there as well. And potentially any information that leads to an arrest through Crime Stoppers will then make that person eligible for $1,000 from Crime Stoppers, as well as the council reward. The paper also discussed whether we look at a repair or a whole new one. And I guess looking at the specialist services of doing a repair and the challenges there, it does look like it'd be a better value for money option to have a new memorial there, and also look at the insurance process that we have there as well. I do recognise that some of the community may prefer to have the original statue repaired because of its heritage value and emotional connection that residents may feel to the existing memorial. I was last week, Brad Strong from the Bundamba Salvos was kind enough to share with me 2 other memorials that I think have been around the area that have been damaged in the past as well, that they do look after them and put them in a very special area, because just like a flag, any disposal of a memorial has to follow a set process. But those 2 memorials, those 2 statues are very well regarded and well looked after. I guess I put that out there for discussion. Councillor Madden, as a seconder, do you wish to make any comments?
Mayor, other than the recommendation by Superintendent Mackenzie that this program be administered by Crime Stoppers.
Yes.
But I guess if the wording is QPS and or Crime Stoppers, that sort of leaves it up to the QPS. Yeah. If they want to say, right, Crime Stoppers, you take care of it, that's fine. So I'm fine with the wording. Yes, Mayor.
I'll go to Councillor Tilly next, because it was your notice of motion as well, so I thought you would like to share your views on this.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I mean, we all know pretty much the reports of the damage to the memorial, but it occurred on or about Friday the 8th of May of this year. It was extensively damaged. The head was broken away, as well as the right wrist and rifle of the digger. It is primarily the digger that has been damaged, but that damage is quite extensive, and specialised stone masonry will be required. It is not simply a glue job. So in order to do that, we do need to take careful consideration. It's interesting to note that that digger that is atop or was atop the Ebervale Memorial is actually a replacement of one of the diggers that you're referring to that is currently residing in a special place of the Salvos at the moment. It was damaged in about 2006, and that damage was relatively so extensive that it required a new digger to be carved. But that digger was dedicated and consecrated at that time in 2006 or 2007. So it is sacred, regardless of the fact that it is a replacement digger. It remains a sacred place for many families who don't have a final resting place for their loved ones who attended the Great War or thereafter. The relevant policy that Council relies upon here is the reward for information offered by Council policy, and this motion that I've put forward seeks to establish the framework which is outlined within that policy, and the reason for the length of that particular motion or the recommendation is because that is what is required within the policy. So basically we are looking to offer a reward for information that may lead to the conviction of persons involved. We needed to nominate that award, and I've done so in the amendment, or what is now the recommendation. I've sought to backdate it because I did promote the fact that I would be seeking a reward. I've proposed the preferred method for reporting such information. As Councillor Madden has highlighted, he would prefer that people provide that information through Crime Stoppers, and as do the police. However, if they do have information, they can go direct to police as well. And delegated the eligibility for the reward recipients to the investigating police in this matter. I think that they should have a say. We're not to know who committed this offence. It may very well be just some misguided children, and I'd like to think that it is someone who does not fully understand or appreciate the reason for that memorial. And obviously I'm seeking to delegate the administration of such reward to the CEO. The memorial has an extensive history. It was constructed and officially opened in May of 1918 by His Excellency Sir Hamilton Gould Adams. It was constructed by A.L. Petrie and Sons of Toowong, and it was erected by public subscriptions. In other words, like most memorials around Ipswich, and Ipswich has one of the highest representations of war memorials per capita of any city in Queensland. But it was all through public subscriptions, public donations, and it was to honour the gallant soldiers who enlisted and those that failed to return from the Great War. It was actually originally located on the northern side of Brisbane Road, but was relocated opposite to its current location in 1972. And as I said, it was previously damaged by vandalism, and I believe the offender in that matter was apprehended, and I believe a reward may have been offered at that time. But that was back in 2007. And the restoration of that digger was undertaken by Mr. Robert Wagner of J.H. Wagner and Sons of Toowoomba at the time. Look, this report speaks to the fact that we do have a responsibility. We do have a policy that provides for this. Obviously, my notice of motion, I speak to looking at ways to adjust our policy for it to be more flexible. It is sad that we've had to wait nearly 3 weeks to be able to offer a reward in this matter, but I do appeal to the public in this matter. If anybody does have any information, no matter how minor it might be, to contact Crime Stoppers or the police, preferably Crime Stoppers, so that the matter can be dealt with. I think it'd be nice just to be able to put a full stop in this matter and highlight to the community this type of behaviour, if it is by someone, a miscontent or malcontent, that there is ramifications for it. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I open up to other councillors. Councillor Tully.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just the original comment, Councillor Madden referred to being administered by Queensland Police. That's under paragraph 3. It's just being the alternative of providing it through Queensland Police, which would commonly occur. And then we're talking about the involvement of Crime Stoppers, which I think is appropriate. Councillor Antonelli has referred to that. In the review, which I think is coming up generally, but it's relevant in this, being able to, we've had a previous policy where I'll say that under a very strict guidelines, there was a standing offer for damage to council, and it was within the discretion of council, if it was paid at all, had to lead to a finding of guilt, at least a finding of guilt and or a conviction, which would arise if there was a finding of guilt. Having it in a timely manner is true, because the key coverage of this, as you said, Mayor, was around Australia on the day or next day where it happened. And that's the opportunity with print media and particularly electronic media, is to say there is a standing reward for damage to council property, whatever it is, up to, it's not a specific amount, but up to, and we need to review that if 2,000's the appropriate amount. And that probably could depend upon the value of the damage. But being able to combine that in a very timely manner is really important, because there is a chance that people are watching television and, the council's got a reward. Some people have come home and they're bragging about it and whatever. to get the coverage now, we won't get any coverage, I think, in the electronic media now with this decision, probably in the print media. So when we review that, this is the least we can do at this stage. And I think it's just an opportunity to bring that forward. As I say, I support the amendment. I think we're voting in the next motion on that other matter of the review. But I just say, late is better than not doing it at all. But in that review, I think we should look at that. And the wording that we had before, it was just a standing there. So we could say and announce within hours that there was a standing reward under those very strict policies, these sorts of conditions that are here. But we also need to ensure that the involvement of Crime Stoppers is under our general policy, not necessarily theirs. Because I said many years ago to Councillor Antonelli, and he had been involved with Crime Stoppers previously, that I don't believe rewards should be given unless there is a finding of guilt. To me, that's just because someone's rung in and say, I think it could be this person or that person. Well, if it leads to a conviction, yeah, you pay it. But I think it has to have some formality about it as a trigger. Now, if that's inconsistent with Crime Stoppers policies, well, we need to ensure that when we do the review, that it's under our ultimate policy and our ultimate determination of when we're provided. That's just my personal view. But otherwise, I'm in full agreement with this motion.
Thank you. Any other discussion? As the mover, I don't need a right of reply. I think we'll just go to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chamber. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
It is.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll move on to the notice of motion from Councillor Daly, which I think will just be item 4. That was there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
Look,
okay.
I just want to thank the councillors for their support of the previous matter, which was essentially the notice of motion as it stood. But if
So I could just
I
go to-
now,
Sorry,
I have to
excuse me.
move.
Excuse me. So can I just say we're at item 17.1. Are you moving that?
Well, I have to move the original notice of motion.
Yep.
So I will move that,
Yep.
and then I'll seek to amend it.
And who's a seconder for that? I know. Councillor Tully?
And I'll just seek
Yes.
to adjust or to amend the motion to remove all but the final, which is 4. And I guess in accordance with our general rules, it should have been lettered rather than numbered. Is that correct? So I'll make it recommendation A.
Yes.
That the old recommendation B become, 4 become A, and the removal of the remainder.
Wonderful. And you're okay with that, Councillor Tully?
Yeah, you don't need A because there's only one recommendation.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, yes, you don't need it.
Anyway,
That's correct.
We'll let the Secretary worry about that.
Yes.
So
Yes, thank you.
So Councillor Tully, do you agree to that?
I do.
So the mover and seconder both agreed, so that's the live motion beforehand. Councillor Antonelli, I'll hand over to you to speak to the motion.
Yes, thank you. Now, we did have some discussion in the last item, but obviously it has been discussed that it is better to have more timely reports or timely offers of rewards so that we can seek to get that information that is fresh in people's minds. Now, I come to the fact that yesterday I asked, and I thank the CEO greatly for the provision of this information, and if the CEO is happy, for me to share the amounts of money that we have spent as a council since December 2023 to now. There has been some $750,000 worth of theft to this council. Primarily, more than 2/3 of that would be the theft of copper. And in one case, there was a copper theft of over $115,000 to council, and in a number of other significant thefts of copper, ranging from upwards of $70,000. These are significant thefts, and these are matters that we would really seek and need the public's assistance for. Now, reward policies, it's not our property, it's community-owned property, and as a community, we need to step up and be proactive in trying to recover some of the costs that are lost to the ratepayers each year. Now, that is just theft. it's estimated that approximately just under $250,000 per annum we spend on graffiti removal. So if there's something significant that happens either by theft or damage, or as in the instance we've just discussed, damage to something as sacred as a war memorial, we should be able to quickly pivot and announce a reward rather than wait upwards of a month to get advice from our officers as to the cost, etc., before going to a reward. There is an old adage, in fact, that adage was worded by Sir Robert Peel, who is considered the father of modern policing, and hence the term Bobby actually comes from his name, Robert Peel. So he used to say that a good policeman has 1,000 eyes and ears, and a good policeman and this council should rely on those 1,000 eyes and ears and provide an opportunity. And that's why I see the need for us to undertake a review of this policy and present changes that enable it to be more flexible and timely with respect to the offering of rewards. There has been raised some other issues that might also be considered as part of that review. I would welcome that. Crime Stoppers is a wonderful organisation, and I would recommend anybody who has any information of not just an offence against the council, but crime in general, of calling Crime Stoppers on their number, which is from memory 1800 333 000. Their program, as Councillor Tully has alluded, does provide awards for information that leads to an arrest. We've had that discussion over many years, myself and Councillor Tully. Either way, I just see us as having to undertake a review of that policy, and I thank everybody for their kind consideration towards the motion.
Just to say, yeah, I agree with that, and I'll just reiterate the issue that with Crime Stoppers policies, we ensure that our review incorporates the ultimate decision making based on recommendations from Crime Stoppers and possibly the police through Crime Stoppers to us. So I think we're heading in got the Ebervale matter out of the way today, and I think this is just a way forward for the future.
Thank you. Any other discussion? No? A right of reply, Councillor Tully? Okay. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous in the chamber. Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Tully. Item 18 is questions on notice, and I think there were three. One was my question about the Worrell View Cemetery and the military monuments and the community engagement. The second was on the shopping trolley inspections. And the third was about the confirmation of the population growth. I could probably send that to you straight away.
With the shopping trolleys, could I add to doing the inspection, the issues raised about the cost of that, whether or not through a fees and charges program or element, or some other way that we could have an annual inspection fee, which would be paid for by the a nominal fee.
That won't impact the ratepayers.
Yeah, exactly. If that concept could be incorporated, so there's no fee to or no charge ultimately to the ratepayers, please.
You okay with that? Yep. Got that. Thank you. There's no others. I'll close the meeting at 11:08. Thank you very much.